Much of our downfall as spiritual people, before we became awakened to our true identities in ourselves and the higher parts of us, we were almost broke beyond repair, right? So right before that awakening, you probably experienced some level of severe trauma to the point where it was either you were going to wake up to yourself or you were going to perish. Right? You were going to either wake up, like spiritually wake up to save yourself, or you were going to perish. It wasn't really you. It was the God within you. It was actually God himself operating through you, giving you the strength to fight beyond whatever the circumstantial situation was that presented itself to break you. And so you awakened before you were completely out of here, whether it was mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or all of the above. But you had awakened to save yourself. But that was God Almighty giving you the strength to do that. And you may not have known anything about it at the time. But I said all of that to say, we were in environments that, I've said this before, were benefiting off of our state of amnesia and had suppressed us and had robbed us of our internal knowing. And so our sensibilities were suspended for a very long time. And so those of us who are late bloomers in life, it is not that we are not capable. It's not that we were not able. It is just that we were purposely suspended. We were in environments that were spiritually in opposition to our being, to who we were supposed to be, to our assignments, our purposes, and our anointings. And so we just get portaled into these very terrible systems, whether we call it family systems, household, whatever you want to call it. But you get thrusted into these places where you are consistently bombarded with suppression, and it suspends you from your inner knowing, which is what we call the Holy Spirit. It's an intuitive nudge, and it is your internal guide. And for spiritual people, if we're suspended from our internal guide, which is your Holy Spirit, which that is the compass for life, which is the cheat code for many spiritual people, if you are not tapped into that, you will be consistently not only siphoned, traumatized, because we are a minority group of people who have been gifted things that the majority of human beings do not have, and we have been tasked with more responsibility than the majority of human beings. And so we have cheat codes, but it's not for us, right? We are of service to humanity by way of the divine or the holy or God Almighty. And so we get portaled here to do more work than the average person, but we are gifted tools that the average person does not have. So that means that if you understand that and you're knowing, right, the ancients say, know thyself, to thyself be true. So if you know these things about yourself, then you know that you don't have the luxury to be around most human beings, because you have a greater task, you have a greater purpose. So your life now has to be very intentional. You have to live a life of intentionality, and you have to live a life of thoughtfulness and mindfulness every day of your life. Every decision, every relationship, every job, every business, every encounter, everything. And I know that can be misconstrued for hypervigilance, but it's not. It's awareness. It's awareness. You can mix and mingle, you can move and shake in spaces, but just don't stay nowhere too long if the energy shifts against you, especially if it is you're outnumbered, right? Because once they generate that energy together like Voltron on you, you got a war in different environments. So I said all of it to say it's very important for you, once you awaken to your gifts, once you awaken to the knowing that you are anointed, that you have been gifted with things that many people don't have, to gatekeep yourself and to be extremely selective about the company you keep, and only cultivate purpose-filled relationships with people who live, I'm just going to be honest, who live a life that is parallel to yours. Doesn't make you judgmental, doesn't mean that you are a condemning person, but it does mean that you are a strict person. If you have a system in place and it's based on laws, guidelines, bylaws, order, structure, you should never, ever, under any circumstance, get so lonely that you let any and everybody come into your life, because then you'll be in a situation like Samson with Delilah. Because of your desperation and your perceived loneliness, because you're not lonely, your perceived loneliness and idleness, you will get wrapped up with someone who will come in as a Trojan horse, presenting themselves to offer you something that you already have. This man already had love. He already had intimacy with God. He already had everything that she was presenting. But he was, I guess, maybe desperate and lonely. And he let his guard down. And unfortunately, the guise of love ended up becoming a betrayal of a lifetime. And ultimately, he met his demise. So that's going into my message. Spiritually gifted people. Here's the thing with destiny swapping, destiny altering. You will be dealing with this for the rest of your life. Okay? I think that people think that once they recover their destiny and they get it back from the hands of whomever, right? Once you discover the who, and you think like, okay, it's one person or a group of people and you've taken your power back, and people have tried to betray you, backdoor you, cause you any type of narcissistic pain, like psychological abuse, emotional abuse, consistent sabotage, trying to block your opportunities or destroy your life to derail your success or progress in any way, that after regaining your strength and now coming into this knowing to be able to not only just avoid the people, but to cut them off for the rest of your life, that you will not face this spirit again. And that is not true. For as long as you are anointed and gifted and very rare on this planet, you will always be dealing with people obsessed with trying to be you, right? It's not anything outside of you, anything external. They want to be you, meaning to possess the essence and your actual soul. And they may not know what that means when they start like admiring you and see you and like, damn, I never seen anything like this. And they see it, right? Because human beings are visual. They'll see it and they'll admire it, but then they want to possess it, right? It's not enough to see it and admire it. They want to possess it. So the first step to try to do that is to copy and mirror this thing. Right? So maybe if I can copy and mirror this thing, then I can embody the beauty, right? So whatever this you the thing, right? So whatever you do for people, because anointed and spiritually gifted people are not necessarily just humans, we are experiences. When we are in the company of other people, they are truly experiencing us. And it is an experience of a lifetime for many of these people. It's something that they've never had before. They never seen no one like you. They never witnessed no one that operates like you, that thinks like you, that talks like you, that moves to the beat of your own drum, that just has this song and dance with life, that just gracefully just moves around through life without a care in the world, and it can be misconceived, misperceived as naivety or gullibility, or just you're so childlike and free that maybe you're a little slow. maybe you don't know who you are or what you actually possess and have. So that type of free spiritness that you have, and this I'll say, it's an innocent rebellion, right? So it's not like you are being mischievous or sinister with your rebellion. You're just not asking for permission to just be you and whatever you want to be. So every day you would be something different. The moment that a person observes you and admires whatever you're demonstrating, they think they know you, right? For a whole week straight, you've dressed a certain way, you talked a certain way, you was listening to a certain type of music, and you was that way, and they admired that thing. And then the next week, you are dressing a whole different way, listening to another different genre of music, possibly even talking something else, right? Like disclosing some other level of knowledge. And it's almost like you are a whole nother person. And that could also be misperceived as maybe multiple personality disorder. Maybe this person has multiple personalities, but you're not. You're multidimensional. And so every time a person thinks they have you boxed in, here you come up in the ante, disclosing another level and another level and another level. And so what ends up happening, people have never seen or witnessed anything like this ever in this environment. And so the admiration turns into obsession, where people now study you, right? They'll watch you. However, you maybe this is before you knew. Maybe you didn't know. You thought you were different. Well, everybody has different sides to them, and everyone, whatever you thought you were. But you also you had the appetite and the desire of calming people too, right? Because keep in mind, you probably grew up in a narcissistic family system, some type of toxic and dysfunctional system that has conditioned you to believe that you were the same. It never really cultivated your natural gifting, and it never really poured into you or affirmed or edified your uniqueness. It was always trying to strip away or suppress it. So what happened was you believed that you were just like your peers. Even though you felt out of place, even though you tried to force yourself into spaces as a youth, it never quite felt right. And when you did try to drift off and isolate yourself from the crowd, you felt guilty because you had been conditioned to believe everybody should want friends, right? Everybody should want a boyfriend, right? Everybody should want a girlfriend, right? Everybody should, even though you felt comfortable and just fine in your own company, and you actually like that. But because you have been conditioned to believe that everyone is supposed to do a thing, you felt wrong doing your own thing. And so you try to blend in, even though energetically you always stood out. So what happens is you take that type of stuff into your adulthood, but now you've gained a little bit of level of confidence, which most human beings do. You gain a little bit of confidence in yourself. And if you like things, you're like, I'm going to like what I like, right? Because you're not in high school, so there's no real peer pressure. So you don't really have to feel so out of, you don't have to feel so outcasted or whatever. It's not a real pressure anymore. So now once you become an adult, before your awakening, you decide that I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to dress how I want to dress. I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to. I'm grown. Nobody can do nothing about that. And so you kind of lean in a little bit into that uniqueness and the rarity. And you display some of that at a seed level as a babe who's spiritually gifted. You don't really know your light. You can't even go access it. It's just in default. So you're in a default setting at that time. So people start to just see you at a default. You're not even at your supreme level. You're not even nowhere near where you're actually going to be in life if you make it there. You're in a premature default setting. And at that default setting, people are enamored. You're not even at 50%. You're at 20 and 30% in these environments. But you're too big for most spaces, but you don't know that yet. So you're a babe and you're in a premature default setting. And this could be very dangerous for somebody with a massive light, where you are a global phenomenon person. What I mean is, like, God has really blessed you to be a global phenomenon, a mogul, somebody that's going to be massive in life. That is your destiny. But if you are in an extremely small backwoods, some small town somewhere, you got dropped off through there by, you were born into that environment, you were born into these spaces, and so you never really came out of them yet. So you're still in these very small spaces, but your energy as it is growing within you, and as your spirit is growing, even though it's in default setting, over time, a little bit of your greatness it reveals itself on the surface. And what ends up happening to you, I'm not looking at the chat for anyone, I'm just flowing, Holy Spirit just flowing through me right now. So if I don't see your question or you ask me something, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I'm really in the zone for a moment. So just give me a minute, brace yourself. So what ends up happening to you is you start to disclose some of this stuff. This is when people say people can see your light before you can. So once you disclose a little bit, people are blown away. But unfortunately, we're in a hater society. Nobody's not necessarily going to tell you, like, I like the way you dress, or like, you're so dope the way you talk, or, no one is really going to compliment you like that. We're in a society that's always trying to tell us that we have voids because we're in capitalism. So if you feel empty, you're going to go buy something, right? So very seldomly do people compliment people on things that money can't buy, like attributes, characteristics, mindsets, talents, gifts, things that money can't buy. So here you are operating at a 20 and a 30, and people are blown away. And when you go into these spaces, whether it be college, work, social settings, You may have a boyfriend or girlfriend or something, and you're around their social circle or whatever. People are witnessing you. And it's like looking at a unicorn that doesn't know that it's a unicorn. And so what happens is people start to just take and chip away a little bit of what they like, right? So they can't really quantify you. They can't really categorize you, and they can't even really box you in, but they know that you are fly as hell and they want some of it. So they're not really going to edify you a whole lot. They may say, okay, girl, I like your shoes. Okay, I like I like what you're wearing today, or whatever, something like that. But those are the people who are brave enough to tell you. But in many cases, the more narcissistic, toxic, demonic, dark souls, they will watch you in awe, and they will be plotting. I want to be that, right? It's not like I want to be like that. So they're not inspired and motivated to be like that. No, they want to possess that. But in order for them to do that, they have to get close enough on it to find the source from which it came. That has been our issue. They want to befriend you. They want to present an offer of love, right? Relationships. They want to act like they want to work with you in partnership in some capacity. Oh, I want to be the closest family member to you. I want to be your favorite cousin, your favorite aunt, your favorite whoever. I want to be your best friend. I don't want to be your friend. I want to be your best friend. So they come up with these very wicked schemes on how they're going to get close up on you, not to take anything monetarily from you, but to try to take you from you, because they've never seen anything like this. You get to experience this thing, even though this is you. Now, this is your embodiment. This is your soul. This is your essence. This is you. They don't want you to have all of that to yourself. They want a piece of it at first. So they'll try to get close to you. And the way that they get close to you is through your weaknesses. What are your weaknesses before you became awakened to who you were? Company, right? Intimacy, affection, some level of validation, approval, right? We were human. I don't know if many of us are much human now. We're in human form now. But we were human. We have been conditioned to just be human beings, right? Like everybody else. And we had those desires because we had been conditioned to have that appetite, right? If you think about where you are now in your growth in life and your experiences and some places you've been, stuff that you would have eaten at 5, 10, 15 years old, you wouldn't dare eat that stuff at 30, 40, 50 years old now, right? So your appetite has changed, but you have been conditioned to have an appetite to desire the same things like everybody else in your environment. So because of that, you too wanted a friend circle. You too wanted a relationship. You too wanted a certain job and whatever. So it is that desire, which was your weakness, your human desire. It was your weakness, even though it's not your nature. Most spiritually people, we don't really care about big crowds. We're too sensitive for big crowds. Like, whatever. It just wasn't our nature. But before you could embrace the nature, you had been conditioned to have an appetite just like common people. So you did. You wanted the friends. You wanted the certain profession. You wanted the certain man. You wanted the certain woman. And that was your weakness. And so what ended up happening is these people slithered their way in your life by way of your weakness, and they offer you things that you already possessed. You never knew that you possessed them, but you did. I'm going to give you the gift of company, the gift of affection and intimacy and love and acceptance. These are all things that you already possess and have, but they gave it to you as an offer. And as the offering, you came into agreement, which is a contract. So yes, I agree that I will accept you in my life, and I'm going to position you here, my friend, my best friend, my lover, my favorite family member, my whatever, my boss, or whatever you want to call these people, my business partner or whatever. So you put these people in positions, and according to the contract, everybody's supposed to be adhering to a certain kind of behavior. However, They never was going to honor this treaty. They were never going to honor this contract. It was all just a means to get close to you. So once they got close up on you, they start watching you like, well, maybe this person is putting on a performance. There's no way they could be this incredibly amazing at everything, right? Most spiritually gifted people, especially if you have ADHD or something like that, you're good at everything, right? Which could be a gift and a curse, but you're good at everything. Like, damn, you could pick up something today and you've mastered it in a week because of your neurological pattern and how your nature is in terms of just your neurodivergence. You have a whole lot going on at one time, right? And which means that you can retain at a higher frequency than most people. And if you're left alone in your own energy, if we strip you down to zero, we come back in 6 months, you've built an entire empire. It's a lot of your unique qualities that give you your strength. So it's the way that you are able to come back in 6 months, you've built an entire empire. It's a lot of your unique qualities that give you your strength. So it's the way that you are able to process at a fast and accelerated rate. That's why many people who are neurodivergent, they end up going to be like amazing, like these big superstars or what have you, just because of their ability to move at an accelerated pace. We're not on the same time as everybody else. But it could be a gift and a curse if you don't hone your skills and you don't know that you have it, because it can completely go out of control and then you really don't master anything. And then you just are, one of those people who's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Anyway, needless to say, they get close up on you and then they watch you in action. And through consistency, they see that that is who you are. It's not a performance. It's not a mask. You're not putting on. You're really just that great. And it's almost too good to be true. That's how amazing you are. So what they want to do, right, with this enigma is they want to chip away parts of it for themselves. But the way that they do it is because dark intelligence will give them ideas. Keep in mind, these are people who are at a low state. So they've been possessed. They've been possessed and they've been demonically influenced to steal, kill, and destroy. Obviously, they're narcissists. But they are now possessed to chip away at you. But the way that they do this is, and this is going to be this could be an issue for the rest of your life if you don't get these jewels and understand this knowledge and not take this personal. What they're going to do is they're going to start withholding. That's the first step to taking a person's essence with the objective to derail. I don't necessarily say destiny swapping all the time. Sometimes people will just alter your destiny, hoping that they can force you and push you on a different path. So what they do is withhold. And how do they do that? They do not edify you. Right? At the beginning, they was showering you with all of these compliments, which flattery is a weapon. Flattery is a spiritual weapon. So they will shower you with all of these compliments and get you fat off the compliments. Keep in mind, you have not awakened. So your parents maybe did not edify you because you had narcissistic parents. So your family may have not really told you how pretty or handsome you are. Or you was making A's and B's and straight A's and nobody really cared about you being a genius. Everybody knew you were, but nobody really cared because they were hoping that they could discourage you into failure or to being mediocre or just like them. So nobody really poured into you to stamp and approve that, yes, you are as great as you really are. Right? Because they never wanted you to be as great, think that you were as great as you were. And you will have like narcissistic partners tell you that I don't tell you stuff because I don't want to blow your head up. So they will withhold after they've showered. So they'll come in under the guise of edifying and affirming you only to get your guard down. They use flattery as a spiritual weapon to get your guard down. Once I got your guard down, then I can weasel my way in your life. Then you will agree to put me in position as a friend, a lover, a boss, a partner, whatever you want to call it. Once they're in those positions, now they're like a Trojan horse. They can watch you from behind the gate. You didn't even have up no gate, right? This was boundaries. You had no boundaries and you didn't have no gate. You didn't know that you were in a community, right, that this was a multi-million-dollar community and you needed 2-3 gates and people had to go through protocol to get to you. You didn't know who you were and how valuable you were. You were supposed to be locked up like the Fort Knox, but you didn't know that because you didn't know your value. So what happened was they slithered their way in under the guise of flattery, with an offering of friendship, with an offering of love, with an offering of a job opportunity, with an offering of money or some sort. Now we watch and see that this is a real person. This is not a performance. Thank you so much for the gifts. This person is really like this. And it can go deep, right? When you are extremely massively gifted, it can go deep, like you run deep. The wells run deep. You haven't even come into your final form. You're at a 20 and 30%. You don't even know who you are yet. And I'm talking about even if you think you know right now, even if you say, oh, I'm gifted and I'm anointed and I've been called and I'm prophetic and I'm chosen, you have no idea how deep you really are in terms of the treasures, the wealth, the abundance, the prosperity. It may scare you. As a matter of fact, for many of you guys coming into the awakening, it scared you. For you to see how big and massive you are. And I can tell you, and I'm not going to jump ahead of myself, but I can tell you right now that once you start discovering, once God uncovered some of who you were, you start trying to go back to ancient times. Like, damn, am I rebirthed in a different lifetime? Who was I in my past life? I had to be something great. You start trying to figure out who were you in a past life before, because certain things that were revealed to you was just that mind-blowing. There's no way that you wasn't some king, queen, pharaoh, massive leader way in the past somewhere before you were portaled here. So that's how amazing you are. That's how much you blew your own mind. Half of your top was gone when you discovered some of your gifts and talents and intelligence and your brilliance. Like, who in the heck am I? But before we get there, people can see this and they cannot quantify it and they can't categorize it and they don't know what this is. But I want it because this person is slow and they don't know no better. And I'm about to take this candy from this baby and it's about to be very sweet for my life. So they plot for a while and then they withhold. So once they withhold from you, they're taking aspects away from you, because I've said this before in one of my live presentations. When a person does not pour into you any longer and you don't know yourself, you will start trying to chase, right? Or you're going to start giving more of your energy to them. So if a person was like being intimate with you every day, all the time, now they're rationing that attention to you. You're going to try to up the ante. Right now, you want to impress them by trying to force yourself or now initiate what they had given you or what you had became addicted to. So you're without you knowing it, they have now trained you like a dog to do that. Right? You want company, you want affection, you want attention. They'll withhold it from you and then train you to come give of yourself to them. They want you anyway. They already want the energy, but now they have to make you overflow in terms of giving it. And so now you want to overgive your company, overgive your presence. And as you're doing this, you are giving them your essence too. You're showing them things they've never seen before. So you're introducing these people to new music. You want them to accept you. So you want to show how different you are from everybody else, which you have no idea that the things that make you different are your strengths, but you did not know this. So you start introducing these people to a vibe they've never had before. They never had no vibe like yours. So you're introducing them to pieces of music that you listen to behind the scenes that no one even knows that you are privy to or that you enjoy in your quiet time. You showing these people, you introducing blues on Bach to these people. That's one of my dad's favorite records. But Bach, which is orchestra, which is classical music, introducing these people to Beethoven, Sonnet 8 and all of this stuff, introducing these people to spoken word and poetry, taking these people to ballets and things that in that environment, that's not the norm. You know where you grew up at. You knew where you came from, right? And some of us, we come from very gritty places. But behind the scenes, you're nothing like that environment. My father would always say, where it doesn't matter where you are, it's not the definition of who you are. So that stuck with me. You can be in the hood, living in the projects, government housing, but you are nothing like the environment. You talk different, you walk different, your interests are different, your hobbies are different, your gifts are different, like everything is different. And you could be a low-key nerd, and you could be a brainiac, a bookworm, all of this. But for survival, we downplay ourselves in these environments because unfortunately, in these environments, just the survival and how people have been conditioned, you don't want to disclose that because that can get you hurt. It can get you picked on. It can get you isolated. It can get you ostracized. And it's sad that it has to be backwards like that, but there's a very serious anti-intellectualism that has been conditioned in people in poverty and in these poverty-stricken areas. So that's supposed to be reserved for the rich folk, right? Or the suburban people or whatever, just because of the inadequacies that have been set up and the lack of resources and whatever. But anyway, you were in the environment, but you were not of the environment. So some of your pastime, it was a secret. But once you let people get behind that door, they get to see your secrets. Now they get to see your interests, your hobbies, and they are seeing things that they've never seen, and they're experiencing a vibe that they've never experienced. You're introducing them to new foods, new cuisines that their palates haven't even tasted. You understand me? If you are a very gifted, multidimensional person, you're probably an amazing cook too. You have a great eye for fashion and decor. You're color coordinated out the wazoo. You put stuff together that have no business going together, but somehow it still works. You have been gifted with an abundance of wealth. You never knew. And so when people are back there, they get to see it in action. And if they are in survival mode, they are about to shake you down. And the sad part about it is, before we did all of these discoveries, you wonder, the more you are in the company of these people, why do I feel less and less like myself? And so what they do is slowly, gradually alter your identity. So they'll give you wrong advice on purpose. They will not compliment you when you are looking amazing at your natural, like whatever you naturally was doing before. They're not going to compliment that because they want to save that for themselves. So the way that you naturally dress or how you present yourself, they're not going to compliment that. They're going to compliment you when you're looking a hot, funky mess. So if you are slouchy and you're looking homely and you're not putting yourself together, and you're not intentional about your presentation, whether you're an alternative person or a classical person, or, one of the classic aesthetics or the alternative aesthetics or the conservative aesthetics, or you are more grungy aesthetics, like you had your own thing going, right? Because spiritually gifted people, we do what we want to do. We were always free to do what we want to do, because after a while, as I said, you become an adult. Part of you want to feel free, so you did that through fashion and presentation. So now these people, they'll come into your world and they want that. They want that original, organic you, but they want to take it from you. So they won't edify that, and they're not going to compliment that when you're in that form. They're going to compliment you when you are slacking. So if you're naturally like very well put together and well groomed, they're not going to compliment you when you looking your best. When you put on some sweats and you got on a big t-shirt, now your hair sloppy in a ponytail, or your hair not cut or nothing like that, that's when they're going to compliment you. Oh, I like you when you dress down like that. Like I know you be doing your thing and you be dressed up all the time, but I like you like that. I like that natural look. I like that natural look. I like it when you have your hair in a ponytail. When your face is bare and just with your sweats and your sneakers. I like that. Sometimes it's okay to, just be comfortable. And because you put these people in positions that they have no business being in, you value their opinion when they should have never even said hey or bye to you, I'm just being real. But because you settled in life at that stage and you want company so bad and friends so bad and a relationship so bad, you will value this person's opinion. And before you know it, all of the intentionality that you were displaying initially, you're not doing that. Now, what you start noticing in this person is they'll start becoming intentional about how they look now. They'll start becoming, more well-groomed when they were maybe slouchy at first. Because we're not very judgmental people. Like, we'll accept you for who you are at first. Like, if you want to, that's how you rocking, okay, cool. Because we like freedom, so we don't want to possess people and enslave people. We want people to feel free around us. But you have no idea. This person is going to hold you in captivity, strip you of your freedom, and then take your free energy and use it for themselves. So now they're getting their hair cut even more than they were before. Now they're getting their hair done more like you used to do. Now they're wearing some of the same type of styles or brands that you was wearing. And you're looking like, hold up. Hold up. When I was doing it, you didn't say nothing about, you know what I'm saying? You don't say nothing, right? Because you all have also been conditioned to be a people pleaser at that level. So you don't say nothing, but you peeping game on it. And you're starting to let yourself go. And as you are letting yourself go, and I'm not just talking about physical, I'm talking about in all areas, you are slowly giving them that energy, which they're now being motivated by that essence and that energy. So now they have more productivity than before. Keep in mind, this was all you. Now they're more productive than before. Now they went back to school. Oh, I just signed up for school. You're like, oh, I thought you said that you was content with, what you was doing. Yeah, but I just feel like I can do more. Now all of a sudden they can do more. You know what I mean? And all of this type of stuff. But at this time, this is when they're going to drift away from you as well, because they got to go impress their new friends with this essence. They got to go impress their new crush with this essence. They got to go in a new environment to put this thing on and perform so people can see this newness that they have on them. And so they're going to take your style. They're going to take your interests, your hobbies. They're going to take your talking points, your cadence, and they're going to take everything that makes you unique, and they're going to go in a different environment and impress those people with you. They are going to put you on like a costume, and they're going to put on performances for others to impress them so that people can now be intrigued with them the way that they were once intrigued with you. Now people will see them as mysterious and some amazing person, because they're wearing your costume. And they're not going to come around as much, and they're not going to call you as much. And now they got triples and double shifts all of a sudden. And you're wondering, like, what happened? We used to spend all this time together, and all of this, but you're not doing no personal assessment or no audit on your life because you don't know. You're not aware. But they did. They had the dark intelligence to know. And as they're going, making new friends with your costume, as they are going and making new relationships with their crushes, who are now becoming, their new pursuits, romantic pursuits, and all of this, they because they can't be you in front of you. Who would do that? All right. They can't. Sometimes they'll catch themselves slipping. They'll say something that you told them last week and act like it's something that they're telling you. And then you got to remind them, hey, I told you that last week. And then they're like, damn, I forgot, I'm in the wrong environment, right? I'm not around those other people. But so now they're getting spoiled, right? So the favor that you had being you, they're getting artificial favor with this new crowd of people and in this new environment. So now they're like, dang, I can actually get manifestations with this person, being this person. So I can get in a different crowd pretending to be this person. I can get a different kind of mate trying to pretend to be this person. I can get in rooms and spaces and people want to give me do favors for me and give me stuff for free. So whatever you was getting in life, now they're getting it to some degree. Of course, they don't get spoiled like that, but they're getting it to some degree, at a higher degree than what they were experiencing before. Being associated with you, being in your energy, being in your essence, siphoning from you. And if it is a partner, like a romantic partner, Oh, that's a direct siphon. Okay? So what ends up happening is they're becoming spoiled with this pretend make-believe life. They're in the essence, but it's just crumbs of your essence. It's not in totality. They can't embody that. But, and then also keep in mind, at their default setting, they're nothing like you. At your default setting, you're still divine. At your default. At their default, I'm not trying to be funny, but they're at a savage level. They haven't done the work to advance, or they don't have the mark. Right? Some people got marked. Some people are called. Some people are chosen. Right? So they don't have the mark. So their default setting is maybe a little bit more animalistic than your divinity. So at their default, they still have an insatiable appetite for worldly things and for destructive things. So they're pretending to be a high vibrational person, but they're really still at a baby stage in life where they are pleasure seeking and they crave the things of the world. So they can't really hold on to that energy like they need to. So they're literally at that point, they'll realize like, dang, I keep dropping back down, right? So when they pretend to be you, they get elevated up, right? An artificial elevation. But then after a while of not being around you, they have to go back to their default setting. So what they do is they're going to keep you around for a while and use you as an energetic bank to go and make withdrawals. So they don't, why do people not like you but want to be around you? Because they're getting blessed by being in your energy. They don't like you, the person. They like what they're getting from you, the person, the essence. I get to siphon and have my way. So I want to be blessed, but I don't like you because you can possess that at will. But I don't like you because you have it. You have access to it, direct access to it. So what happens is they don't necessarily like you because of envy. They don't like you because you have direct access. It's your spirit. You're directly connected. You don't have no middleman or no liaison. So they have to stay connected to you in some capacity. So they will show you enough through disrespect that I don't care for you. I'm jealous of you. I don't really want to rock with you for real. But without you knowing it, I need you to get a better quality life experience. So I'll stay connected to you and close to you just enough to rub elbows and get that favor. But every chance I get, I'm going to disrespect you. You understand? And then to make you play games in your head, right? To make you question yourself as if it's something that you need to do more of, or it's something that you did to me. Like now I'm positioning myself to be more important on top of you with your energy. So now they start to become, treat you like you a subordinate. They'll take your energy, power up, charge up, and use it as a battery in their back to get this false sense of confidence. And now they're trying to stun on you with your own essence.